Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today in this video we will learn about all and any method with respect to NumPy arrays. Okay, so let's get started. Before I teach you about all or any method, I want to make some things clear regarding logical and logical or operator. Okay, so let's deal with that first. I am naming it as logical and. Okay, now I am constructing a truth table which will have, let's say, input 1, input 2, and then it will be result. Okay, so let's say I have 1 okay, 1 result of logical and. So if both the inputs are 1, the result will be 1. Okay, if either of the inputs are 0, the result will be 0. So if I say 1 0, the result will be 0 0 1, result will be 0. And if I say 0 0, result will be 0. So in order for logical AND operator to return 1, we need both inputs to be 1, otherwise it will be 0, right? So in this case, 1 can be treated as true, 0 can be treated as false. Okay, so if both the inputs are true, the result of the logical AND operator will be true. If either of the input or both the inputs are false, the result will be false, which can be 0 here in this case 0 can be treated as false. Okay, so this is about logical AND. Now there is something called as logical OR. Logical OR. Okay, now I'll have the same thing. I'll construct the same truth table, but the result will be different in this case. Instead of logical AND, it will be logical OR. So with respect to logical OR, the result will be true if either of the inputs are true or both the inputs are true. Okay, the result will be false only when both the inputs are false. So this is how logical OR operator works. So in this case, 1 or 1 will be 1, 1 or 0 will be 1 because input 1 is 1, 0 or 1 is 1, 0 or 0 is 0. Okay, so this is how logical OR operator works, right? So just keep in mind, 1 can be treated as true, 0 can be treated as false. In other words, any positive or negative integers can be treated as true, but 0 alone would be treated as false. Okay, so if I do like this, the indentation will just go for a toss, so I'll just make some adjustments here. So I just need to give some extra space here so that the markdown operator, the markdown cell will look neat. So this is about logical OR and logical OR. Now let's go to all. First, NumPy all method. Okay, let me create an array. Before to that, I need to import NumPy as np. Right, now let me create a simple one-dimensional array. Okay, it will be np dot array 1 2 3. Okay, let me have some negative values as well, -1. So this is my one-dimensional NumPy array with the elements 1 2 3 -1. Okay, now if I just say arr1 dot all and execute it, it will perform logical AND operator on each of these elements. Okay, logical AND operator on each of the elements of this particular NumPy array. So remember, any positive or negative integers can be treated as 0. If there is a 0 as an element in the NumPy array, it will be treated as false. Since we do not have 0 in this particular NumPy array, the result of arr1 dot all will be true because all the elements will be evaluated to true. And if we apply logical AND to each of the element, 1 and 2 and 3 and -1 will return us true. So that's why it is returning true. So let me create another array and let it be a two-dimensional NumPy array. Okay, array 1 2 3, and let me include 0 in this case, 0 2 and 4. Okay, just some random numbers, but 0 I included for demonstrating you how we get false as an output. So there is some error because there is a syntax error here. If I just say Now I execute it, it will be alright. So if I check the output of ARR2, it will be 1, 2, 3, 0, 2, 4, and dimension will be ARR2 dot enddim. So it will return me 2. Okay, because we have two dimensions, row and columns. Now, if I execute ARR2 dot all, it will return me false. Why? Because we have 0 as an element in 0 as one of the element in this array 2. That's why while performing logical AND operator on all the elements, it will be 1 and 2 and 3 and 0. So remember, in order to get true with respect to logical AND, all the inputs must be true. Correct? Correct? So all the inputs must be true. Otherwise, the result will be false. Correct? So you can see in this table, both the inputs are true. That's why we have 1 here. If we have 3 inputs, all the 3 inputs must be true. Then only we will have result as true. But in this case, array 2, we have 0 as an element, which will evaluate to false, right? That's why logical AND operator will be returning us false here. You see, it returned as false. Now, there is something called as access as a parameter here. You can see access is equal to none. Okay. This is the case when we set access is equal to none. It will perform logical AND on all the elements. Now, let me tell you something about access. Let's say ARR2 dot all. I say access is equal to 0. Okay. You see false, true, true. So if you check the shape of the array ARR2 dot shape, you will see 2 comma 3. Okay. Now if you check ARR2 dot all and specify access as 0, you will see 3 outputs. First will be false, second is true, third is true. Why? Because access 0 acts on rows. When I say access is equal to 0, this logical AND operator will be applied on the row values. Okay, so this is bit confusing. This is easy, but people will get easily confused also with respect to access parameter. Okay, just listen to me carefully. So when I say access is equal to 0, you guys have to look downwards. Okay, so this is one row, this is another row, right? So the comparison will be on 1, 0, 2, 2, 3, 4. Okay, when I say access is equal to 0. So you have to look downwards. The comparison will be on each element with respect to each column because we are looking down the row. That's the reason you are seeing false as the first output, because 1 and 0, 1 will evaluate to true, 0 will evaluate to false. With respect to logical AND, true and false will be false. So that's why you have false here. Next, 2 and 2, both will evaluate to true. True and true will be true. That's why you can see true here. Now we have 3 and 4, both will again evaluate to true. The logical AND on both true inputs will be resulting as true as an output. Okay, that's why we see this as an output. Now let's say I am saying access is equal to 1. Okay, so access can be either 0 or 1. 0 deals with rows and 1 deals with columns. Okay, if I say access is equal to 1, it will return me true, false. Observe this, guys. When I say access is equal to 0, I got 3 outputs, false, true, true. When I say access is equal to 1, I got 2 outputs, right? True and false. Why so? When I say access is equal to 1, it will be looking horizontally, not downwards. We have to look horizontally, right? How many rows we have? We have 2 rows, right? When we look horizontally, we have 2 rows. When we look down or when we look vertically, we have 3 columns. So when I say access is equal to 1, it will look horizontally and action will be on the whole row itself. When I say whole row, all the columns will be considered. Because it considers all the column, access is equal to 1 will be called as action upon columns. But internally, the action will be on elements with respect to rows. Okay, please understand this carefully. So in order to remember this in an easy way, all you have to do is, when I say access is equal to 0, we have to look down. Okay, so how many elements we have by looking down? We will get 3 elements here, right? 1, 0 will be one element, 2, 2 will be another element, 3 and 4 will be another element upon which the logical AND will be performed. This is when access is equal to 0. When access is equal to 1, the elements will be 1, 2 and 3 on which the logical AND will be performed once. Other set of elements will be 0, 2 and 4 on which logical AND will be performed. That's why we can see the output as true, false when we specify access as 1. Okay, so this is how access works on. Now there is something called as keep dims. Okay, arr2.all. I don't specify any access. Okay, if I do not specify any access, logical AND will be applied on all the elements. Okay, so you can see here it returned us a single false. So it is a single false output. There is no dimension to it. Okay, it's not even a 1 dimension or 2 dimension. No, it's just a false, right? So what happens if I say keep dims is equal to true? So keep dims is an argument which specifies to maintain the dimension of this array. So we have this array 2 as a 2-dimensional array. The keep dims argument will specify the Python kernel to produce the output to be as of same dimension as of array 2. So since we have array 2 as 2-dimensional array, setting keep dims equal to true will result in producing the output with 2 dimensions. You can see it is a NumPy array of dimension 2, right? So if you guys want to know how to determine the dimension or the shape of an NumPy array, please watch my previous videos. I have explained it clearly. Okay, so this will return us 2-dimensional array because array 2 is 2-dimensional. Now what happens if I say arr2.com? I'll say access is equal to 0, but I'll say keep dims is equal to true this time. Okay, by default access will be none, keep dims will be none. So it acts as a whole. Now if I say access is equal to 0 and keep dims equal to true, this I already explained. It maintains it actually maintains the dimensions in the resulting output. That's why you can see 2-dimensional output here. Now I am saying access 0 here. You might have already guessed it. The access 0 in earlier returned as a single dimension array with false, true, true as our output. In this case, since I am setting keep dims equal to true, the output will be false, true, true, but it will be a 2-dimensional array. Okay, so this is how keep dims work. Now if I say arr2.all access is equal to 1 and keep dims equal to true, you see it returned me 2-dimensional array, but it returned me the same value as we saw here, true, false, true, false. Okay, you can see there is only one column in each row. This is if I treat this as a 2-dimensional array, indeed it is a 2-dimensional array. This returned me 2 rows and 1 column, right? So how I can check that? If I just say shape, it will say 2 rows, 1 column, right? So since it is returning me an array, I can execute shape on the output of this particular action, right? So this is all about all method in NumPy. Now let me just display the contents of arr2 in order to move ahead with any method of NumPy arrays. Let's say I am saying arr2.any. So remember, any will work by applying logical or logical or on the set of elements, right? Since I am not specifying any access or not specifying any keep dims, either true or false, both will be none. That's why a logical OR operator will be applied on all the elements. The result will be true this time. Okay, because in order to have false with respect to logical OR, all the inputs must be false. If either of the inputs will be true, the result will be true, right? Here, except for this element, except for this 0 element, all the elements will be evaluated to true. Only this element will be evaluated to false. Since most of the elements are true, or at least one element is true, the logical OR will be producing the output as true, right? This is about any. Now it becomes very easy to play with access parameter and keep dims parameter, right? So since I say access is equal to 0, so any will be applying logical OR operator row wise. When I say row wise, why I say row wise? Because I am specifying access is equal to 0. which stands for rows. But when I say rows, you have to look down, right? When you look down, the elements you can access are 1 or 0, which will be true, 2 or 2, which will be true, 3 or 4, which will be again true. So this is access is equal to 0. But remember, this returned as a single dimension array, right? Now if I say access is equal to 0 and keep dims is equal to true, right? You see, it returned the same output, but instead of single dimensional array, it returned me two-dimensional array as an output, because I am asking it to maintain the dimensions same as of the array on which the any method is being acted upon. Okay, so that's how this keep dims true works. Now quickly let us check. Here are 2 dot any access is equal to 1. You see, it returned true, true. Why true, true? Because when I say access is equal to 1, it acts on columns. 1 stands for column with respect to access. When I say access equal to 0, it stands for rows. When I say access is equal to 1, we have to look horizontally. Okay, we have to look horizontally. So logical OR operator will be acted upon these 3 elements first, and then these 3 elements at the end. So 1 or 2 or 3 will be true because all these elements are evaluating to true. 0 or 2 or 4 will be returning as true because both of these are true, only this element is evaluating to false. That's why we see true for this set of elements and another true for this set of elements when I say access is equal to 1. Right? That's why I am saying true comma true. Now if I say same thing, access is equal to 1, I am saying keep dims is equal to true. Right? You see the same output but in 2 dimensions, right? In 2 dimensions we have 2 rows and 1 column, same as before when we checked with respect to all, right? 2 dimension, true and false as output, but with any, since it applies logical OR, it returned both true because true or true or true, if any one of the elements is evaluating to true, we will get true. That's why we are saying true as the output for both the set of elements. So that's it guys for this video. Hope I have explained about access equal to 0 and 1 clearly. If you still have any questions, please post it in comments. I will make another separate video on that if you guys have not understood it very well. So thank you. Bye bye.